Hi, everyone. Welcome to Top Technology Tools for Practitioners in Private Practice. This webinar was coordinated by Dr. Sharon Givens. She's the NCDA trustee for private practice, business, industry, and agencies. Of course, please type your questions and comments in the chat throughout the webinar. The chat is set to private, so the chat moderator will see your questions and share them with the presenter later on in the webinar. And a recording of this webinar will be posted in the LinkedIn group. The LinkedIn group is labeled NCDA Constituency for Private Practice, Business, Industry, and Agencies. The recording will be available for 5 days. My name's Marie Smith. I'm the one that will be moderating the chat today, and I'd like to thank Sharon Givens for inviting me to moderate the chat. It's an honor. I'm happy to be here. And I am incredibly excited to introduce Jim Peacock. Jim Peacock will share technology tools that you can use for knowledge gathering, networking, communication, knowledge sharing, and tracking. Thank you for being here, Jim.
Oh, it's great to be here. And do you want to do a quick poll? What were our questions here, Marie? I think we wanted to get a sense of who is here. This is for the private practice in general, but we also posted this widely. So we're kind of curious if you could just sort of in the chat room identify yourself as private practice, college, or K to 12, maybe government, and workforce development, maybe, or whatever. But sort of pick those categories and let's get a sense of who's out there. So looks like we've got 49 people. And I'm going to switch to my screen here.
Jim, I'm going to share where some people are from. Let's see. Hold on, let me scroll down. Amanda is private practice in Australia. Julia, private practice. Rhonda, private practice. Deborah, 11 years in private practice, working for University Alumni Career Services for 7. Ray, private practice. Ginevra, private practice. Carolyn Couch, private practice. Linda, private practice. George, private practice. Elizabeth, private practice. Belinda, private practice. Clara, private practice. Emily, private practice as of January. BJ, private practice and consulting. Mary, private practice. Jane, private practice. Kim, private practice. Steve, private practice. Sabrina, private practice. Elda, can't be categorized, adults mostly. Keegan, workforce development. Carolyn, private practice, workforce development. Sarah, workforce development. Annulette, everyday professionals. Mary, private practice and young professionals. And there's a whole slew more.
That's
private
fine.
Practice, business and industry, workforce development.
Good, good. And we have the winner of the furthest away is Australia, as far as we know. And that's great. Thank you. Thank you all for joining us. It's helpful just to sort of have a feel for who's out there. So I'm Jim Peacock, and I'm with Peak Careers Consulting, and I'm going to go through these top technology tools. Just so you know, the little reach, capacity, and consistency on the bottom, those are my 3 words that guide me for 2018. Those are words I chose to sort of just help me look ahead and anyways, to guide me. So Maria, I'm assuming you can see the slide. Is that correct?
I can.
Great. So what I decided to do when Sharon approached me is to look at a number of different tech tools, and I broke them out into these areas: knowledge gathering, because we need to, as private practitioners, we need to get information. We need to sort of begin to pull it together. Where is our information coming from? Networking, you just can't do a sharing. So how do you create that? How do you create your credibility? How do you get yourself out there? And so there's a number of tools I want to talk about with knowledge sharing. And then you really need to track what's working. And so I'm going to focus on Bitly, but I want to mention these other tools. So here's the game plan. short and sweet snippets. My game plan here is to be done in 45 minutes. That's a lot of material to cover, but I'm going to cover each one of these. Some of these I'm going to show you on the slide, and then a bunch of them, I'm going to then move to the actual live, in this case, live Bitly or Feedly. And then we'll have questions. We'll take some questions. I'm going to try to keep all of this stuff within, for Feedly, be less than 5 minutes. LinkedIn might be a little bit more. So be thinking of questions that you want to ask. So let's get started. Knowledge gathering. So Feedly, I use Feedly because it creates a feed of the blogs that I like to read and the news feeds. It is really how I pull. Just basically, I can get up and take a quick look at these are all my career feeds. So I've got like 24 of them or something. You can't see them all here, and we'll take a peek at the real ones in a minute. But then here's the quick feed, and I can kind of see if there's a topic that looks interesting to me, and then I can click on it and take a look at it. But it gives me a chance to really get in and aggregate all the different blogs and the topics and the content that's out there. And I can do it in a very quick, I typically go in and look every morning and just sort of look in here and go, what's going on? Anything interesting? Sometimes I check it out. Sometimes I don't, but it's all in one place. I don't have to go to all these different, I don't have to go to Career Sherpa's webpage and look at her blog and the Daily Muse's website. They are all aggregated right here. So the arrow in this upper right, that is if you want to pay an upgrade from the free one, you can use some of the tools and tips in there. A lot of these free tools have upgrades available, and they're always trying to entice you, although Bitly's pretty low key. And then there's the add content is down in the lower left, and we'll look at that. So the add content allows us to go in here and either search and go to play around and say what's out there, or if you have a blog that you really like and you want to add it, this is where you would do that. So pretty simple. I would encourage you to think about this. If you're going to do this, really look at who are your thought leaders. Who are the people that you know that are writing content that you like, that it's helpful for your clients or helpful to you. And you want to find those people. And a couple of easy ways of doing it is basically you just look on your LinkedIn feed, look on your Twitter feed, look on your Facebook feed, look on Google+. Who's posting good content? All these different social media places they give you that feed of what your people are doing. And if you keep noticing that a certain person, Bob McIntyre, is posting stuff, you're going, man, I'm reading his stuff all the time. Well, this is the place you want to pop them in. So you go to his website, click on his blog link, copy and paste it into here, and you're good to go. So it's a great way of finding those thought leaders. So look on your feed, look at some of these people's recent activity. The other thing you can do, just do a simple Google search for best career blogs in 2017. That's another really simple way of doing it. So let's take a peek at this. This is my actual Bitly right now. These are all the different people I follow, some really very different people. This career pivot is kind of a boomer writer. Lindsay Pollock is a millennial. I mean, I've got a bunch of different people, things career related to Bob McIntyre. But let's take a look at. So these are, I haven't read any of the, well, this one here, I've read this one, Career Pivot. So it's not highlighted. I can organize these a number of different ways, but I can just find the titles of the ones that I like the most, click on them, and then do what I want with them. I also have news, but let's say I want to do add content. So I can add content, follow publications and blogs. I can put in a search up in here. I just did a search yesterday with hashtag career. So I can click on that. I could have just stuck that up here. So these are the blogs that are up there. The Daily Muse, I'm already following that. But what was the one? Idealist. This is another one I thought about. So I just want to follow that. I want to click on them. I'm going to add them to my career feed because I have 3 feeds, right? News, social media, and career. And I'm following them. So, questions, comments, thoughts?
Not at this time.
If you have them, this is a great time to sort of do that. Again, this is how I'm going to do this whole presentation. Is I'm going to be bouncing back and forth, showing you some of the highlights of Bitly. So there are other feeders out there. This is the one I just have been using it for a number of years now, and it really is pretty simple. Pulls all my stuff together, and it really does help me manage finding good content. So, and we can take questions at the very end as well. So networking, so tools for networking. I want to show LinkedIn. I just feel like you have to do this. It's the largest career database in the world. For me, the main purpose is for networking. There's lots of, you can find jobs there, you can research companies, but I think the intent really behind LinkedIn was, the way I describe LinkedIn is it was like the annual professional conference that you went to, and you would meet. I met Marie at the Wisconsin Career Development a couple of years ago. And if we go back to if I go to the Wisconsin Career Development every year, I see her. So I might see her once a year. We have coffee. LinkedIn took that kind of relationship and said, let's move that to this online forum. And that's really why I believe LinkedIn acts as a networking tool. So I'm not going to do a full session on LinkedIn, but I want to show you 3 things that you can do to network. And I'm going to actually go to LinkedIn and show you 2 of these. Actually, I'll show you all 3. The arrow tells you this is the home feed. So when you're on LinkedIn, if you go to the home feed, these are all people that I'm connected to, who have either posted something, liked something, or commented on something. So this is my network, and I want to know what they're doing, and this is how I find out what they're doing. If you really want to work at your network when you're on LinkedIn, then you should be liking, sharing, and or commenting. So this tells your network that you're paying attention, that you're not ignoring them. And I get to see people who like my posts. I get to see people who share my posts. I obviously see people who comment on it. And it's really important, as a person who's writing and sharing, it's good to know that people are out there. And and this is just a very easy thing that you can do to let your network know that you're engaged, that you're reading, you're participating, you're thinking with them, and you can go as far as you want, like, share, or comment. So advanced search, of course, good old LinkedIn keeps changing stuff. For those of us who teach LinkedIn in workshops, it's always, they like to keep us on our toes, I think. So this is the new advanced search, and I'm going to show you this. But one of the things I'm trying to do, and my friend in Australia, maybe you can reach out to me, because what I'm trying to do is get back to New Zealand. I traveled in New Zealand after I completed grad school, and I'm planning to go back to New Zealand, and I'd like to have some connections back there. So I use this filter, this advanced search, and I typed in New Zealand and the location. I'm looking for second connections. I want to know, of the people I'm already connected to, who's a second connection, because I can see their feeds and I can connect with them very easily. And then I said, well, what are the industries I want? Higher ed, professional, training, and human resources. And I picked up 96 people. And I'll go look at those profiles, and some people I'll see I have a lot in common with, and I'll reach out and send them a note, write a note. Hey, I see you're connected with Jeff Pearman, and you're doing some interesting things very similar to what I'm doing. Would love to connect. It's very simple. The third thing you can do is participate in groups. And again, like, comment, share, or ask a question. Somebody approached me just the other day and said, I'm really looking for, any places for best practices for a college career center. This person was putting together a presentation. So I went into NACE, Eastern ACE, and National Career Development, and put a post. And I've got like 4 or 5 things that I was able to share with this person. So these groups are great ways to sort of, again, share information, see who the thought leaders are, see who is what I call the heavy hitters in your area. So let's take a quick peek at LinkedIn. So this is my home feed, right? Now this is my home feed. So these are people that I'm either connected to. So I'm connected with Randy Block. She liked this, so I have to believe that if I'm connected to her. Well, here's my New Zealand friend Jeff Pierman. He writes a lot on boomer topics. So I'm gonna usually I do actually read this, but I'm going to actually like it. So Jeff is going to know that I'm on there, and I'm reading his stuff. And oftentimes I'll take a peek, read it, and comment on it. And that's really when you begin to say, this is my network. I want my network to know. That I'm participating in them, and I'm reading their stuff, and I'm sharing their things. So these are all people that are connected to me, that are doing interesting. Yeah, Bill Gates. I follow Bill. Bill's not a personal friend. So I want to peruse this once in a while and see what people are doing. And this is another good friend of mine here. Another couple people that I really feel pretty tight with and communicate with. So I'm going to support them. And when you do that, what happens is it gets more reach for each of those blogs. So when people are blogging and many people are engaging in that communication by like, shares, and comments, it'll get more reach. And so that's really, for a blogger, that's real important. So I'm always very grateful when people are doing that. And that's even more true on Facebook. And we're not even going to we're not going to go down that road tonight. But the like, share, comment is true on Facebook as well. The next thing I want to show you is that career search. I just like to go up in here and just hit enter. I go into the search bar, I hit enter. It brings me to the search area, and I want to look at the all filters. And so I can very quickly go in here and add New Zealand. Oh, I wanted to hit second connections, professional training, human resources, and let's do higher education. I apply it, and I got 96 people that I can go take a peek at and look at and say, are they doing interesting things? Do we have something in common? And then, of course, you never connect here. You always go to their full page, and then you connect at that point in time. And the third area that we can go into here is the groups. And here's the NCDA constituency group. So you do need to join this group. If you're not a member of this group, you've got to go in and ask to be a member. So this is a group that, again, Dr. Sharon Givens has been very instrumental in pulling together. And this tells you what the group is about. And it tells you who some of the members are. And once you get inside, and then you can post. And so in here, Sharon's been posting about the webinar. And then I think on one of these I made a comment, yes, and I talked about, what are the areas that I'm going to explore. And so there's different people that are commenting, different people that are liking. And so groups are great ways to build your network. And once you're within a group, then you can actually connect with those people in a different way. So in other words, when I remember always working with college students, and they said, well, I don't really have many connections. I said, well, join a group with 10,000 people and you got 10,000 connections. And there are plenty of groups out there with thousands of members. So I'm going to pause here So as you think about LinkedIn, really the only reason I'm really bringing it up is to network. And I wanted to give you 3 concrete ways of reaching out. So 1, you go to your home feed, like, share, comment. You could go and do advanced search, or you can participate in groups. So are there questions, comments, anything else that people would like to mention here?
Hi, Jim. You do have a few questions.
All righty.
All right. This one says, what blogs do you follow?
What blogs do I follow? So I'm going to have a LinkedIn article that comes. It's actually, I'm working on it right now, and it's going to list a bunch of them. That's coming out in another about 10 days, actually. I follow Bob McIntyre. He's great. Hannah Morgan, Career Sherpa. Daily Muse. I could probably, let me go back here and I'll tell you all of them. So Lindsay Pollock writes about millennials. Mark Miller in Career Pivot. So hopefully you can see this. So Career Pivot, he writes about boomers mostly. Career Sherpa, Hannah Morgan, she's great. She writes on a bunch of stuff. Career Realism. Lindsay Pollock is millennials. I follow Pete Careers. What a shock. Richard Leiter doesn't blog a lot, but I just love his stuff. It's really about finding purpose. The Daily Muse. Things career related. That's Bob McIntyre. Bob McIntyre. He's Bob McIntosh. Excuse me. I have 2 friends by both those names, and sometimes I mix them up. Those are my big ones, I would say. Yep. Anything else?
Yes, there's actually a handful of them. This next question is also about blogs from Sarah. It says, if we have a blog, what is the best way to get it seen? Specific hashtags? Yeah,
hashtags are huge. Yeah, I mean, and then the one thing, and I think I've got it notes to mention this later, but I'll mention it now, is, if you want your blog out there, I push stuff out on LinkedIn. So I had a blog that came out Monday night, and that Tuesday I began to push that out on LinkedIn, and I pushed it out twice on LinkedIn, because if you don't push it out at least twice, and there are people that will say this number's much larger than me, but I'm saying is at least twice on LinkedIn, and at least twice on Twitter, and at least once a day on Facebook. And you got to look at the timing and to see when people are reading it. But if I just post it once on LinkedIn for the week, then it goes too far down the feed. Nobody sees it. So you got to push it out. And the other thing you really have to do is if you're going to push a blog out, you need to make sure that you're online, so that when someone comments or likes, you get in there and thank them or respond to them, and that will really help. That'll help drive the initiative. And actually, for early on, and every once in a while, sometimes I'll ask people. I said, shouldn't say ask, but I actually will say, can you just make sure that you like this post, just so it'll start getting some traction. Another great way to get your blog out there is to tag some people in your LinkedIn post or your Twitter feed, and then they will oftentimes see it. And then they will like, share, and comment.
Great. Next question is from Ray. Ray asks, opinions on the value of LinkedIn Premium?
Not necessary, unless you're an HR or a career center director. I've tried it. There was really no big gain on that one for me.
The next question is from Carolyn. Why shouldn't you connect from the LinkedIn list of connections?
Because you can't add a note. The only way to add a note is to go to their profile. And when you go to their profile, then you can always add a note. And I highly, highly, highly recommend that you add a note. If people don't send a note along with them, I'm hesitant to accept them. Sometimes I'll look at it and I'll look at their profile and say, okay, I'll go the extra mile. But if they don't have anything in common with me and they don't write a note, I don't accept them. A note is a chance to network. Remember, I said LinkedIn is a networking tool. It was designed so that when I went to the conference and I saw Marie, I could chat with Marie again the second year. I can't just walk around and hand my business cards out to everybody and anybody that's at the conference. Here, take my card, take my card. That's what it feels like to me without the note. Maria, what I'm going to do is hang on to those questions, and I want to have time at the end. I really want to plow through. I want to keep plowing through all these different areas, and we will have time. I've purposefully trying to do this whole thing in 45 minutes, which will leave us about 15 minutes at the end, and I'm happy to. And even if we don't get to your question, folks, feel free to actually email me, and I'd be happy to help you out wherever I can. So communication. I like Zoom. We're using another video conferencing platform here. There's Skype, there's Google Plus, there's FaceTime. Zoom is, I think there's an advantage to being the newest kid on the block because you kind of figure stuff out and you simplify. There's really a small file that you have to run. It's not like you got to go into log and create a Skype account and then go and look at 50 different menus. Very simple. There's a free version, and you can have up to 100 people. I had to go double check that. It is crazy. You can have up to 100 people. But anything over one-on-one, there's no time restrictions. But if there are 3 people or more, then you're limited to 40 minutes on the free version. And you can record. Even the free version has the ability to record. And and I love the simplicity of it here. You can't quite see the last icon is the microphone, but everything I need is right on the bottom of this. And this is the same screen that the people that I'm participating with in whatever I'll show you in a minute. Some of the stuff that I use it for, they have the same things, and they can share their screen, and I can share their screen. So when I'm working with clients, it's awesome. I love it, and I find that the bandwidth is very, very good. I was online last night with 7 people, all video, 7 people up and down the Eastern Seaboard, and we didn't have any problems. So here are 4 ways that I have used Zoom. I should have just said how I use Zoom because this is what I do. Individual career coaching sessions. 1, it saves me time for driving and parking. It's easy to keep all the sessions to 1 hour, and you're looking at the people. Phones are old school, I can't see their face. For you folks, I can't see your faces tonight, but you can see mine. But in a coaching session or when I'm, talking to people, if I can see their face, I really there's a lot more communication that's happening. 2, meetings with multiple people. As I said the other night, I met with, there was a group of private practitioners that we meet every once a month. And we're able to meet and actually talk about stuff, help each other out. I use it with my friends and family, and I use it for all those. 3, I teach the Facilitating Career Development course. Every once in a while, I teach it with 5 live classes, which is it's a big commitment. And every once in a while, somebody's sick or whatever, they can't make it. I do have the ability to record the presentations, and then I can share them later. I actually did a webinar. I probably could have done the webinar with just the Zoom that I use. I do pay. I will say this: I do pay the $15 a month to have unlimited with multiple people. But as I said at the beginning, the free version, you can have multiple people up to 100. You just have to have it. It's under 40 minutes, and when your 40 minutes is up, it's over. I found that out the first time I used it. But I also can add on with Zoom. I added $40 a month, and I did a webinar in January. I'll be doing another one in May. those are my Zoom points that I wanted to make. Questions, comments on that particular platform. I'm not going to be showing you that. It's not worth it. That's the big key right here.
There is a question about Zoom. Mary writes, have you used Zoom to speak with clients overseas?
I have not. I don't believe I have. But it's, it's like Skype, it's like Google Hangouts and all the other ones. I think it works fine. And I do believe that they just came up with a confidentiality clause statement that came out that's more pertinent for career counseling, coaching people. So I've not used it overseas. But, Maine to California, I've done. That's almost overseas. I'm going to keep moving. Knowledge sharing. So as a private practitioner, one of the other things that we need to do is as we build our practice, we want to be able to share knowledge, and what we're doing is creating credibility. We want to be able to create our own brand. Who are we? What do we do? My brand is really training career counselors and coaches and academic advisors, anybody that's in the career field. That's sort of my niche. And so I try to blog on that topic. I share content on that topic. Hootsuite is a dashboard that allows me to schedule, on the free version, I can schedule up to 3 social media platforms. And what it does is just saves me an enormous amount of time, rather than having to go out and take one post and go to my LinkedIn profile, post it, copy and paste, go to Twitter, copy and paste, and then I have to get it down to the correct number of characters, and then go to Facebook Peak Careers page and then copy and paste. I can do all that from one dashboard, Hootsuite. So I've been using this for quite a while. This is a free version for up to 3. It used to be 5. It's now up to 3. And I'm actually gonna show you what it looks like, because it's just kind of hard to read. So Hootsuite, schedule blogs, tweets, shares. You can see the activity that's on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. You can respond very quickly. I've been on some. I don't like it for Twitter chats. Some people use it for Twitter chats, but I don't. If you've not been on a Twitter chat, you got to do that. That's pretty exciting. But Hootsuite allows me to, again, create credibility by writing, sharing good content. So let's take a look at my actual dashboard here. Oh, I've been snoozing. Wake my little owl guy up. So these are my streams. So I can adjust these. I have other options, but these are I want to know what's going on Twitter from Peak Careers, what's going on my feed in Peak Careers. So here's Career Builder, somebody else I follow. What are they writing about? I can take a quick look and see what's going on. This one I like is mentions on Twitter, because I can here's Bob McIntosh. He's very active across LinkedIn and Twitter, but he's mentioned me, right? He's referring to an article. So I think I've already liked this one. Let me just make sure. Yeah, I already did. But I can go in there if I see something that people are, in particular when they mention me, I want to make sure that I let them know that I'm reading and I'm participating, and then also sharing their information. So sometimes people will include me in a tweet because they want me to respond, and I'll do the same for some of them. But a lot of times I'm just sharing it. So I've actually retweeted this and liked it. This is my Peak Careers Facebook page. So these are just this is content that I posted in there but I can see very quickly that there's some likes and whatever's going on. Sometimes I actually have to go there to see some additional stuff, but this is a very quick view of Facebook for Peak Careers. And then LinkedIn. So I just posted this. I'm doing a tech-free week next week. So if anybody emails me beginning tomorrow, I'm actually taking a whole tech-free week. I've done a day a month. So anyways, I just posted that. So it's all right here. Questions, comments. And this is where I want to say one thing before I forget, and I'll take that, Marie. But Twitter, if you don't see it in about a half an hour, it's probably gone. Facebook, you really want to look at posting at certain times of the day when people are reading on your Facebook page, and that's got to be at least once a day. LinkedIn is, for me, more than, if it's a couple of hours past, I just don't think people are seeing it. It's just too far down the feed. So, yeah.
Okay, so Deborah writes, I thought I heard that Hootsuite doesn't work with LinkedIn anymore.
That's working right here.
Okay.
But
also,
that could change tomorrow. It may not have caught up to me, but as far as I've not heard that.
Also, numerous people wrote in the chat that they've used Zoom for overseas communication, and it works perfectly. Works very well.
Thank you.
And this next one is a comment from Elizabeth. Elizabeth. She writes, Hi, Jim. I spoke at the College of Advanced Education in Perth, West Australia. It was awesome. You might check that out when you were down in New Zealand.
Awesome. Thank you very much. All right. We'll have some, we'll still have time at the end. And in here, I'll just show you that this is where I can either send it now or I can actually schedule it. So this is the publisher link. So I have these things going out tomorrow. But I can actually, there's a ton of stuff you can do in Hootsuite, and there's other dashboards as well. All right. So let's go back, and we're going to look at a couple more things here. So along with knowledge sharing is MailChimp and Constant Contact. And this is a chance for you to, again, share your brand. It also is a chance to to get your arms around communicating with a greater number of people. So, I mean, if you send an email to 100 people and you send that out 10 times a day, you're probably going to get spammed. You even, like, for me, I've heard of people that like Time Warner Cable shut them off because they were firing off hundreds and hundreds of emails to lots and lots of people. MailChimp, Constant Contact, those are the two that I'm most familiar with, and there's other ones out there, I'm sure. This is a way to consolidate, get your emails all into one place, and you can control that communication. So if you think about emails, if I post something on Twitter 4 hours ago and you're not following me, you didn't see it. If you're following me and you didn't log into your Twitter account until tomorrow, you probably aren't going to see it. LinkedIn, I post something yesterday on Tuesday. If you haven't seen it, it's probably far down your list and you're not going to see it. But everybody, when they get an email from MailChimp or Constant Contact from Jim Peacock, because it doesn't look like that, but you can tell it. Most of the time you can tell it's one of these two, but it looks like an email often. Everybody looks at their email. You go to a conference for 5 days, you're going to come back. You got to do something with your email, but you're not going to go back and look at all your Twitter feeds, and you're not going to go back and look through hundreds of LinkedIn posts. The power of having an email list is huge, and it really is one of the things that private practitioners you want to look at. MailChimp is MailChimp is free up to 2,000 names. And so I used MailChimp for when I first started my full time in my business 6 years ago. I did go to Constant Contact. I kind of got talked into it, and I went with it. It was just too expensive at the beginning. So I went to MailChimp and used MailChimp for a long time. And then I really wanted to tag people and have a number of different lists. And there were a lot more bells and whistles that I wanted to do that MailChimp, the free version of MailChimp, didn't allow me to do. So I ended up moving over to Constant Contact. And Constant Contact is $45 a month for 501 to 2,500 names. But they're both great ways of developing your brand, maintaining your presence, and also just being able to communicate, do that knowledge sharing with the people in your community, the folks that are following you. So we're not going to go to, there's nothing really to show you on that. I'm going to end with this, and then I'm happy to take questions. But I'm just very particular about trying to keep things to 45 minutes and then Q&A, so that everybody gets a chance to see everything if they have to leave a little bit early. So tracking. So you do all this work, right? You do the knowledge sharing, you do the networking, you do the communication, and then you need to track, how's it working? What really is happening here? Are there people actually reading what's going on? And so Bitly, and again, there's a bunch of these that you can use, takes those long URLs and can shorten them up, and then you can track your hits. And that's just so important to do. I think I've got this open here too. So this is my Bitly. So the other day I was pushing out this. This is an online seminar that a friend of mine teaches. So I sent it out into an email, and 39 people clicked on it. I don't remember the total number of people that were in the total email, but I wanted to know, are people looking at it? So this is pretty much I think it must have it went out on Monday, and so Monday and Tuesday people are looking at it. A couple people are still. There might be another one coming up here reading their emails later. But this was a seminar. I wanted to send the email out. I don't know if they're reading the email. You kind of know if they're reading the email through Constant Contact, but you often don't know if they're clicking on the link and going anywhere and taking action and engaging in it. And so that's why I use Bitly. And so I'm going to look at how many hits that people are getting on it. Now, when you create a long URL, you can it'll assign you a whole bunch of numbers and letters. I've been and you can customize a little bit. This is for, again, the free version of Bitly. But I can actually I just create Peak Careers, and I started numbering them all, right? Peak Careers 74, Peak Careers 75, Peak Careers 76. And so you can see these are 461 hits and, 2 hits here. And, again, it kind of depends on what I'm trying to do to accomplish. But a lot of times I'm going to use Bitly to simply track what's going on. So pop the URL in here, create the bit link, and then once you paste it in there, you'll have a chance to actually customize it if you want, up to a certain point. So Bitly's good for tracking. And then Google Analytics, I am not going to do any more than Google Analytics than just mention Google Analytics. There's a ton of stuff in there, but I want to be able to see what's going on, driving people to my website. You want to do that. Facebook has insights, and this can be really helpful because you can see what days and what time people are going to your Facebook page, if you have a business page. And that really helps drive what's going on. It sort of guides, I should say, it guides me on when I want to post. So if I know that most people are going to be on there from 4 to 6 or whatever it is, you know, that's great. It's amazing how many people are on all day long, but I get a little more hits in the early evening. And then I also, Facebook is rewarding ads, so I've been spending like $15. I've just started doing this recently to boost a couple of my blogs, and I can kind of begin to see what are the numbers, how helpful, what was useful, what was the engagement, what's going on. So these are, I mean, tracking is so important, you know. So I'm gonna wrap up and then I'm happy to stay here for another 15-20 minutes, but I wanted to, before we say goodbye here, I will be in Phoenix at NCDA, and if you're there, I'd love to see you. I'm doing 2 sessions, one why you must have social media strategy in private practice, and the other one I'm doing is developing a value-added statement. And also, I'm getting an exhibit booth. I'm sharing it with SkillScan, Lisa Beckhusen. And if you are a career practitioner and want to sign up for my newsletter, you can go to my website there. So happy to take questions, Marie, and all you folks out there. Covered a lot of ground, but I wanted to, hopefully I gave you some content there that you will find helpful.
Jim, we have a few questions here. Annabelle asks, what is the best way to create a mailing list or an email list?
It's like eating an elephant, one bite at a time. You know, so when I go to, if you come to my session, why you must have social media strategy at NCDA, I'll be passing around a list, and I'll ask people to sign up. Pretty much wherever I go, I ask people to sign up. I'm kind of like once a month or something, I'm going to post. I post it on my LinkedIn page that just says, hey, if you're new, I mean, if you're interested, yada, yada, sign up. It is one person at a time. And then you got to give them content and not push too far, or people are going to unsubscribe all the time. I mean, it's information overload. But it really is one person at a time. So when I go out, you know, if you're looking for coaching clients, you know, then you got to be thinking chambers and Rotary clubs and local places, conferences. You got to think about where is your audience. And when you go, you got to have your sign-up list with you all the time. That's what I would say. And I will say, I mean, the more I blog and the more actions out on social media, the more people that go to my website, we'll see a pop-up. I try to not go too pop-up crazy on my website, but the pop-ups actually work, you know. Hope that helps.
This next question is from Annulette. Annulette writes, I'm new to career development and private practice. Besides LinkedIn, what 2 or 3 tools would you recommend for a newbie to pay for, and which ones are best to get for free?
Well, I don't think you need to pay for much. I mean, I think, you know, LinkedIn, I think Twitter, you should be out there to, you know, check Twitter out. Facebook, Instagram, all Instagram's coming up big for particularly the younger crowd, but there's a lot of stuff going on Instagram. I'm just now getting out to it. I don't think you got to pay for many of these things. I mean, these are what I just showed you tonight are my big go-to. And so I would start with, you know, what I've showed you tonight and go do the free versions of all of them, and then evaluate, you know. And then if you really want to sort of step it up and go to the next level, then obviously you can. But I would start slow. And I guess I assumed that message was, that question had to do with social media. If I'm missing the boat on that, let me know. But
Okay, this next question is which online course platform do you currently use and which ones have you used in the past?
Which online
Course platforms.
course platform? The course platform I'm using is Haiku. Got bought out recently by Power School Learning. I've used Blackboard, and I found that incredibly frustrating. I'm very happy with Haiku, which is also called Power School Learning. So I'm a little, they bought them out, so it's sort of a little confusing on what is their real name. But if you go Google Haiku or Power School Learning, you'll see them. Designed mostly for high schools, K to 12, I think. But there's a bunch of us. Most of them are high schools, but there's a bunch of people like me that are just individuals. And I do all my online seminars on the Haiku. There's messaging inside of this platform so that people aren't getting random emails all over their email box. All the emails are coming right into Haiku, so you get all the messaging within their content. You can do wiki pages. I embed video. It has everything I need.
The next question is about appointment scheduling. Do you use an online appointment scheduler? If so, which one do you use?
Oh, that's a good one. I didn't even think to put that one in there. I use Schedule Once. I'm pretty happy with it. It's $50. I think it's $50 for the year, but it saves me it probably saves me 100 hours of somebody email me, can we do it Friday? And I email them back, no, I can't do it Friday. How about Monday? And then they email me back. I mean, you can spend days trying to set up appointments. Schedule Once, man, it goes in there, it connects into my calendar, it sends out reminders as many as you want. I've been very happy with that. So I use Schedule Once.
Okay, this question is about assessments and technology. Do you prefer online assessments or paper assessments?
The longer I've been in this business, the less assessments I use. I am a huge fan of card sorts. I think I use card sorts because they're kinesthetic. They're face to face. You can get them online. I kind of adapt and actually still have people do part of them online and then print them off and do some other stuff with them. I think there's something to the kinesthetic. But for me, it's using these informal assessments like card sorts really drives the conversation, and it keeps the ownership into the individual. I taught a career decision-making class at our community college for years. And I would have students, we would do the Holland party game. I would have them take a Holland written. We did the written version of the strong inventory at the time. And then they would do a Holland assessment on the computer in the choices software we used. There were some people that came out different in all three modes. They had different results on the computer than they did when the paper and pencil than they did with the Holland party game, which is just an informal assessment. So you got to be careful about what you're using assessments for, and you should be suspicious of all assessments. So I don't have a preference that way, online or paper and pencil. I actually prefer card sorts.
Jim, this one's a comment. This is from Elda. She writes, terrific, thank you. I have created a photo metaphor card sort with my photography. We have over 200 responses, mostly college students, to see how metaphors help to clarify meaning in their life and then in turn can help with careers. I am working with Marilyn Mays and Lee Richmond on this. It's been a very gratifying way to connect my photography with my counseling background.
Interesting. Send me an email. I'd love to see that.
And Elizabeth writes, I love career sorts too. There's something about sorting cards that clients really tune into and like.
Yeah, it's the card sorts. I use primarily skills card sorts, but I also use values, use interests. You can use, there's a bunch of them, but mostly skills. And what happens is, I think there is this kinesthetic thing that's going on, and when they're looking at those cards, they're processing it at this very subliminal level, and then they're placing it somewhere and giving it a value, and then they move it again and give it a value. And when they're doing that, they're really thinking about it. And so when you ask them and said, "What does this mean to you?" Most of the time people go, "Well, this is what it is," and then the conversation starts. It's all about the conversation. If you're not getting a conversation, then the assessment's worthless.
This next question is about email. Do you think using a general Gmail account is okay, or should I get one with my business URL attached to it?
Oh, I have no strong opinion. I actually have mine attached to Peak Careers. So if you see mine, it's Jim Peacock at Peak Careers. I do have a Gmail account, but I don't think that matters. I mean, I think it should be your name or your company, preferably in most cases your name. And as long as it's professional, I think either one is fine.
This person writes, is there a certain job type or level that seems to work better on LinkedIn?
Well, LinkedIn is really more of the professional jobs in general. I mean, you don't see tradespeople. You don't see, so you don't see a lot. You don't see mechanics and carpenters up there. So they're really more of the professional peoples. I would say is they're probably mostly college educated, professional jobs. And there's a few jobs. There's a few professions that just aren't on there. I don't think you see a lot of lawyers. We haven't seen a lot of K-12, although there's, I think, more and more are coming, K-12 people. But in general, I would say is anything that's in the professional world.
A couple questions about presentation tools. I'll ask them all together since they're all kind of related. One is, do you use a certain slide deck like PowerPoint or Keynote to make your presentations? And what do you use to record your videos? And do you use editing software?
For me, PowerPoint. I've just never got my head around Prezi. That one's sort of. I like the linear approach to. I'm on a Macintosh, so I use Keynote. I can convert to PowerPoint, but they're basically the same. So I usually start in Keynote, and then like for tonight, thanks to Marie, I converted the Keynote to a PDF, and so it works better in forums like this. The PDF actually works better in forums like this than actual Keynote. For recording, I've been using Zoom. And you have, with Zoom, even with the free version, you have some space up on their server. And you can do some recordings, but basically what I do is when I record on Zoom, most of the time I'm going to record and download it right to my hard drive, and then I push it up on YouTube and convert it. I convert it to YouTube videos is typically what I do, just because everybody can see it. It's easy to open, easy to access, easy to search for. So that's what I use.
And the next question you might have just answered, it's, do you protect your videos somehow? So only the people,
like about Peak Careers, what is Peak Careers? What are my online seminars? But for the classes that I have, I create unlisted. So you have private, unlisted, and then open on YouTube. And so I have a few that are private. I just created one the other day, that's private because it's only going to be shared with a couple people. The unlisted check mark means that anyone that's subscribed to Peak Careers YouTube channel isn't going to see my unlisted. And then those I embed into my haiku seminars or FCD classes, and then those people can see it. Good questions. These are great.
Yeah, they are really great. So I want to show Sharon's picture real quick here. Hold on.
Yeah, we got our hour done here, so I definitely want to honor people. I want to just say this feel free to contact me and connect. If you connect with me on LinkedIn, make sure you write a note. And but feel free to email me and reach out. I'd love to answer other questions too. Thank you very much.
So Sharon Givens shares. She says, "Thank you so much, Jim. You are the best." And I agree, Jim. This was fantastic. And I also want to recognize Dr. Sharon Givens, NCDA trustee for private practice, business and industry and agencies, for all of the things that she's been doing, the book club, the LinkedIn group, this webinar series. So Jim Peacock, Sharon Givens, both of you, thank you so much for everything you do. I learned a lot. It was a great webinar. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you, folks, for coming.
Bye, everyone.